So, somehow in the midst of my hectic schedule right now, I managed to make some time to do this video today, to get back into this position and do another review just for you guys. And I'm back talking about Star Wars yet again as well. And you know what? It feels rather good. Andor. So Andor is the newest Star Wars Disney Plus show, which is written by Tony Gilroy, and basically the show follows the story of Cassian Andor, who we met in Rogue One, but in this show we see his story before the events of Rogue One, and we also see the inner workings of the Empire, we see how evil the Empire are, and also we see how the rebellion starts to form as well. And that's essentially the gist of the show. I mean, there's more to it than that, but I don't want to go into detail just in case you haven't seen it yet, but there is more to it than that, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's essentially the gist of Andor. And honestly, surprise, surprise, I absolutely love this show. I loved it so much. I've already spoken about this show quite a few times on this channel, actually, in a couple of podcasts I've done over the past couple of weeks, just because I've loved it so much. I've loved so many episodes, just so much, and I just couldn't hold it in, so I had to talk my own podcast on this channel, and I'm here doing this video again to talk about my love of Andor, because it doesn't feel like enough people are talking about the show, and I think it's masterful entertainment, and it's my favourite TV show of 2022. Yes, I think it's better than House of the Dragon, and I liked House of the Dragon, I liked it quite a lot, but I think House of the Dragon was flawed though, because I felt that it kept skipping in time because it never really got to the meat of its story. But this show takes about 2 episodes to get the meat of the story, and it takes about 2 episodes to get going. And when it gets going, though, it sprints, it runs, and it keeps going. And like each episode just blows me away as well. And it's a different kind of Star Wars. It isn't like the original trilogy, it isn't like the prequels, it isn't like the sequel trilogy. It also isn't like Mandalorian, it isn't like the Book of Boba Fett, it isn't like Clone Wars, and it isn't like Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a different kind of Star Wars we haven't really seen before, and you know what? I ate that all up. And I know that's what's been complaining for people, and I can completely understand why. You know, some people just really love the Mandalorian style of Star Wars, where each episode, it's kind of like its own thing. You see Mandalorian go on an adventure, it's often quite a big action set piece, you meet some cool characters, some characters you might have seen before, like obviously, spoiler him, because you haven't seen Mandalorian, or if you live under a rock, but Luke Skywalker obviously popped up in Mandalorian, same with the Book of Boba Fett, you know, Cad Bane pop on that show, you also had a Wookiee in that show, and things like that, you had like 2 Jabba the Hutts as well. You know, those sort of shows are very, you know, they're preaching to the fans, you know what I mean? And I like those shows because I am a Star Wars fan. And when I was watching shows like Obi-Wan, like Mandalorian, and like the Book of Boba Fett, I was sitting there and I was enjoying it each week. I mean, those shows have flaws, particularly the Book of Boba Fett, but ultimately I enjoyed them because I'm a Star Wars fan, and all the fan service elements in those shows work to me. But at the same time, though, I also love the fact that Andor is different, though. I don't just want every single Star Wars Disney Plus show to be like The Mandalorian, or to be like Boba Fett, or to be like Obi-Wan, where each episode is an action set piece, there's kites to pop them like they might know. You know, I wouldn't want that in all my Star Wars Disney Plus shows. I like the fact that this show is just showing how evil and menacing the Empire is. I also like the fact that we don't really get to see, you know, the rebellion fully formed throughout the whole of this series. I mean, I dare say, well, we kind of have to. You know, I dare say that we'll see the rebellion fully formed in the next series of Andor, but I like the fact that at the moment we're just seeing the seeds of the rebellion being formed. We're just seeing little pieces come together. We have Saw Gerrera pop up, who's in Rogue One. We've got Stellan Skarsgård doing some, you know, kind of in the shadows, sort of mysterious stuff. There's a word there I just can't think of off the top of my head. But also, we see Mon Mothma and what she's trying to do in Coruscant with all the politics of this series, and we see what Cassian's trying to do, and we see how he doesn't really want to do it. He doesn't really want to be in rebellion. He wants to be a bit of a lone ranger. But at the same time, though, we also see why he's drawn to the rebellion. We also get to see his mother as well, which we haven't really heard about in Rogue One. In fact, we hadn't heard about whatsoever. And we get to see a different side of Andor. There's like, we get to see the curtain pulled back on that character. And it's a character that I must admit I didn't love in Rogue One. I liked him quite a lot. But now, I think this show is going to make me love that character by Rogue One. In fact, it already has. I love the character of Andor in this series. And I think it's going to make me appreciate the way his character sacrificed himself in Rogue One as well. I love how he's doing that. I love how it's making Rogue One look better. But going back to my original point, it's a different kind of Star Wars. There's a lot more talking. There's not as many action set pieces. I mean, there still are. There's still quite a lot of action in the show. Some people acting like there isn't any action whatsoever. There definitely is. But at the same time, though, there's no lightsabers. There's no cheeky one-liners. There's not really much comedy. And when there is comedy, it's a lot more subtle. It's not more nuanced. You know, it's more a show about the political side of Star Wars. It's a show about the humans in Star Wars as well. It's a show about what it would be like to live in this period in Star Wars, the period between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. It's a show about It's a show about what life would be like if you lived in the Star Wars universe when the Empire was reigning over you. And you really feel that, though. Like, I already spoke about this on this channel, but you know, I think it's episode 4, when there's a TIE fighter that just flies over the Scottish moors, and it flies over Cassian Andor, and it's just so menacing, and it's like one TIE fighter. You don't even see the stormtrooper that's, you know, that's flying it. You just see the TIE fighter fly over Andor's head, and you feel how menacing that is. And I love the gritty and realism of the show, though. It's a realistic show. It grounds itself in verisimilitude. And by the way, if you don't know what the word is, look it up. But it grounds itself in verisimilitude, and you feel that, though. The show feels realistic. Even so it's a Star Wars show, you feel like you get to know these characters. You feel like you're there, those characters. It feels immersive and it feels exciting. The writing is thrilling. And I know some people have complained that they think the show is boring, which is one of my pet hates, by the way. That criticism of something being boring, which I've done on this channel, by the way. I'm a cope with this as well. I'm being a bit of a hypocrite here. But the criticism of something being boring is quite a lame criticism when you think about it. It's a poor criticism. And I disagree that this show is boring. I mean, it's all subjective. If you didn't get along with the show, you thought it was a bit of a drag, that's completely understandable. But personally, for me, it's a slow burn. And there's a difference between something being slow and something boring. Like, something being boring is just nothing really happening. And there's just things happening and nothing really, there's no consequence to them. Like, I often find quite a lot of Marvel films boring, and yeah, I'm going to shut them out because I don't really care. But so nonetheless, if you love Marvel, that's great. But personally, I find a lot of Marvel things boring because they just feel inconsequential. It doesn't really feel like anything's really happening, things are just meandering all over the place. But in this show, whenever there's dialogue, it's always key to the story. Even in the first 2 episodes, which were my least favourite episodes of the series, you know, the very first 2 episodes of the show, even so they're my least 2 favourite episodes of the series, if you take those episodes out, and they're my least favourite episodes, by the way, because not much was really happening, it was quite slow, but if you take those 2 episodes out, episode 3 doesn't have the same effect. It does. It doesn't have that huge payoff effect. Like, episode 3 hooked me. The first 3 episodes got released when the show first came out, and after the first 2 episodes, I was sitting there going, I'm going to give it one more episode to see if it's really for me, or, you know, whether I'm going to sit down to watch it every morning like I'd usually do with a Star Wars TV show. And in the 3rd episode, I was quite amazed at how well it did its payoff. And also, I think that's the same with episode 6, and I think that's the same with episode 10 as well. You know, a lot of the show is done in 3 episode bunts. You know what I mean? Like, you get 3 episode arcs going on in the show. In the first 3 episodes, it's what's going on in Andor's hometown, if you will. In the second 3 episodes, kind of like this high story, and then episode 7, it's kind of like this bridge episode. Then episodes 8 through to 10 is a kind of like a prison escape, which is really exciting. The last 2 episodes are an arc in itself, and the last 2 episodes are more about the ingredients of the rebellion, the seeds of the rebellion finally kind of coming together. I'm not going into too much detail yet because I haven't seen the end of the show, but yeah, those last 2 episodes, especially the last episode, was like, oh, wow, yeah, amazing. And it's a different kind of Star Wars that is slow, and I can see why it's not going to be for everyone, but it's not boring in my opinion. I completely disagree with that criticism. It's not tedious, it doesn't drag, it's not sluggish. In fact, what it is riveting and exciting. If you just listen to the dialogue and go along with the characters, you really feel that though. And I can understand why some people might also be thrown off by this show, because we've had Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett this year. You know, Book of Boba Fett finished this year. It started in 2021, but it finished, I think, in early January this year. And so we've had those shows which have kind of shows like the sort of fan servicey side of Star Wars, often quite fast paced, a lot of things happening in each episode. And so we've had those shows. And so I think in a weird way, some Star Wars fans, not really a weird way, but I think in many ways, some Star Wars fans have kind of been conditioned to think that each Star Wars show is going to be, you know, preaching to the fans quite a lot. And Andor isn't like that. So I can understand why some people might have those criticisms, but personally I disagree with them. And also, I've seen some people online say that, you know, Andor doesn't feel like Star Wars. Again, I disagree with that. It's a different kind of Star Wars. But it does feel like Star Wars, though. You've still got space battles, which is in the name, you know, Star Wars. Kind of there, and also you still have aliens in there. Like I saw an article, I think from Screen Rant, and I was like, what? Like somebody said in this article that Andor has an alien problem, and I'm like, what? If that's your biggest criticism of Andor, then what, really? Like, I do sometimes feel with these Star Wars Disney Plus shows that people are looking for criticisms. And not just the shows, actually, the films as well. I do sometimes feel that people are looking for criticisms in all these Star Wars things because they want to complain about it because Star Wars is no longer under George Lucas's wing. Guess what? It hasn't been for a long time. Get over it. But anyway, yeah, I do sometimes feel that some people, like, you know, they're looking for problems with this show. And because Andor is so masterfully written, because it's so incredibly well made, and because the characters are so compelling, because the story is so compelling, in my opinion, you know, because of all those things, though, I feel people are just trying to go, well, the writing is actually pretty good here. Well, let's complain about something else. Let's complain about characters that... Ooh, let's complain about the fact that there's not actually that many alien characters in the show. Because there is alien characters. There definitely is. If you watch the show, there is a load of alien characters about that we see. Sure, they might not be the main characters, but we still see a lot of alien characters about in the show. But at the same time, though, it's just a really weak criticism, in my opinion. Saying that, you know, Andor doesn't feel Star Wars because it has an alien problem, it's just like... What? Why is that significant? You know, would aliens make the plot of Andor any better? Would aliens make Andor any better? I don't think they would. And like, you know, sure, Star Wars in the past has had loads of aliens in those films. When you look at the prequels, it's like you walk around the corners, all these different characters and costumes and things like that, and you see all these different aliens. You got Jar Jar Binks in the prequels. But also, you got Boss Nass in the Phantom Menace as well. Look at the Geonosians in Attack of the Clones. You've got the Wookiees in Revenge of the Sith. You've got Chewie in the original trilogy. You've got Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi. You've got the Wampa in Empire Strikes Back. You've got the whole cantina scene in A New Hope. You look at something like, I don't know, Solo. You go into that film and you've got the whole opening of Solo. I must admit I don't remember Solo that well. It's my least favourite Star Wars film. I never really go back to return for it. But at the same time, no, you know, Solo's got a lot of aliens in there. You look at the sequel trilogy as well. That's got a lot of alien characters in there. That big worm alien from The Rise of Skywalker. In The Last Jedi as well, you got all like the crystal little foxes and things like that. And The Force Awakens, you have Maz Kanata as well. And, you know, Mandalorian's got loads of aliens. There's a whole episode based around them. And in Book of Boba Fett, you've got aliens in that as well. And Obi-Wan, you've got aliens in that. Yes, there's a lot of aliens in Star Wars. And so I understand why people might have that criticism. But there is aliens in this show as well. I'm not fully sure where I'm going with this point, I'm not going to lie. But there was aliens in the show as well. But at the same time, though, that's what I'm trying to say. Right, the aliens have never been the main characters of Star Wars, though. If you look at like the original trilogy, sure, Chewie is there, he's a prominent character in those films, but he's not one of the main three characters. You know, it's Han, Luke, and Leia, and then you get Lando as a supporting character in Empire and Return, and also you get like Darth Vader as a villain. He's not an alien, and neither is the Emperor either. And, you know, Chewie is a prominent character in the original trilogy and in the sequel trilogy. But he's not a main character, though. when you think about it. He really is. And I love Chewie to pieces. He's like my favourite Star Wars character. But, you know, he's not a main character. And that's the same with the prequel trilogy as well. Look at the main characters in those films. You know, sure, you have Yoda as quite a prominent character in the prequel trilogy and in the original trilogy and even in The Last Jedi to a degree. But he's not a main character, though. The main character in the prequels are Padme, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon if you look at The Phantom Menace. And that's the point I'm making, though. You know, the aliens wouldn't make this show any better, though. And the aliens have never been, you know, the main character of Star Wars. It's always been the humans, and Andor knows that. Andor focuses on the humans, and it does so in such a compelling way that you feel like you know these characters. And I feel having an alien in there making all these squeaky noises go blah, 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 wouldn't really work. At least it wouldn't for me. And also some people have been saying that, you know, the show doesn't have any charismatic characters. And again, I can understand that criticism, but I disagree. First of all, Mandalorian doesn't really have that many charismatic characters when you think about it. You know, people are saying that Mandalorian doesn't really. But maybe one or two. Boba Fett didn't really. And again, I like those shows. Obi-Wan kind of did in Young Leia, but at the same time, though, you know, this show doesn't really have any charismatic characters who are jumping about, you know, kind of like a character like the Doctor in Doctor Who. But at the same time, though, it has characters which feel compelling and characters and performances which are just so subtle and nuanced that are so captivating as well. Like Fiona Shaw as Cassian Andor's mother in the show is brilliant as well. It's like, you know, sure, the characters may not be charismatic, but I feel if the characters were charismatic, it would feel out of place. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a character who literally just walked into the, you know, setting random and go, oh, look at me, look what I'm doing, you know, if you had something like that in Andor, it would just feel completely out of place and just go against the tone of the overall show. Andor is a dark series. Look at the prison episodes. They are dark. You literally see someone commit suicide in those episodes, which I didn't expect to see in a Star Wars 80 Plus show, I'm not gonna lie. And it's quite a haunting scene. And in the last two episodes as well, you see quite some, you know, gruesome moments to a degree, especially for a Star Wars TV show, and I love that about it as well. I love the fact that it's dark, that Tony Gilroy, who was, you know, was a writer on the Bourne trilogy, and he also directed the fourth Bourne film. He's also a writer and director on the film Michael Clayton with George Clooney and Tilda Swinton, and also, you know, that his brother Dan Gilroy, who I think wrote and directed Nightcrawler, which is a very dark film, very good film though. But yeah, I love the fact that those two came in, you know, Tony Gilroy and Dan Gilroy, and they made the show gritty and dark, and they made it realistic. You know, it's darker than Rogue One, and I think Rogue One is a dark film, but it's darker than Rogue One. And I love that we just get to see a very different side of Star Wars. We feel the menacing unevenness of the Empire, and I love that. I love how the ISB unit is represented, but I love the villains in the show. God, I think it's brilliant. I really do. But at the same time, though, I wouldn't want this to be all the Star Wars TV Plus shows, though. As much as I love this show to pieces, and as much as it's my favourite TV show of 2022, you know, if this was every single Star Wars TV Plus show, if we had this sort of writing for all the Star Wars TV Plus shows, where it's quite dark and gritty and there's not much comedy and it's quite, you know, demanding to watch, which I love, by the way, but, you know, I wouldn't want this for all the Star Wars TV Plus shows. So I like the fact that we get Star Wars TV Plus shows like The Mandalorian, like Book of Boba Fett, like Obi-Wan, which do have kind of like, you know, a narrative of one episode that's not too demanding, and it is kind of like a light-hearted watch, and it makes you smile, and it often makes you laugh, and it often makes you get a bit, you know, excited as well, because you see characters pop up that are being like the original trilogy, or the prequels, or whatever, something like that. You know, I like that sort of Star Wars TV, though. I like when Star Wars TV is a bit, you know, just a bit fun. I like that, though, and so as much as I love Andor, I wouldn't want every Star Wars Disney Plus show to be like Andor, though. I like the fact that Disney are finally, you know, leaning in to doing different Star Wars Disney Plus shows. The fact that we do get something like Mandalorian, you know, which is coming back in a couple of months' time, and the fact that we do get something like Andor as well, though, and the fact that the fact that they can do that, I really like now, because I didn't know if they could. I thought all the Star Wars Disney Plus shows were going to be like Mandalorian, because Obi-Wan came out, and I thought Obi-Wan was actually going to be more like this, and Obi-Wan turned out to be more like Mandalorian, which I didn't mind, by the way, But I like the fact that Disney are now leaning more into doing different styles of TV shows for their Star Wars content. At least I hope they continue to do that as well. I hope they continue to do that, going forward. Because even so Andor hasn't got the viewership figures, I really hope that they still continue to make some Star Wars Disney Plus shows which are like The Mandalorian, which are sort of like exciting, action set pieces, lightsabers and whatnot, but they also do more like this, which is much more dark and much more grittier, much more about characters, much more about story, much more about the politics of Star Wars. I hope that's what they do in the future. And so, as much as I do love this show, I don't want this to be like all the Star Wars Plus shows going forward. And also, like I said before, if I'm talking about criticism, that's not really a criticism, by the way. I wouldn't want every Star Wars Plus show to be like this. But on the topic of kind of criticisms, the first 2 episodes are a bit slow, and they do drag on a little bit. But without those first 2 episodes, though, I don't think you get that great payoff in the 3rd episode, like I already mentioned. And after the first 2 episodes, though, the show just sprints, and it finds its feet, and it does it so well. And if you watch the first episodes of Andor, you watch the first 2 episodes of Andor, and you thought, you know what, this is going to be for me, please give it another go, because it just gets so phenomenal. It really does. And all the performances are amazing as well. And I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the musical score by Nicholas Britto, which feels like it's merging, on Ludwig Göransson's scores from The Mandalorian and his main theme from the Book of Boba Fett, alongside Hans Zimmer's score for Blade Runner 2049. I love the score for the show. I love how it's different than the score for Obi-Wan, different than the score for Book of Boba Fett, different than the score for Mandalorian, and also different than John Williams' scores for the Star Wars movies, and different than Michael Giacchino's score for Rogue One. I love the settings, the production quality as well. It looks amazing. It looks better than Obi-Wan. The CGI in this show looks better than doing Obi-Wan, and God, I love it so much. It's a different kind of Star Wars. But you know what? That made me love it even more. It really did. And there's probably things I haven't mentioned yet which I loved about the show. Well, the fact that in the last episode, by the way, and this isn't a spoiler, because I've purposely made it as a non-spoiler review, but the fact that in the last episode, we actually get to see a brass band in Star Wars as well. I love that. But yeah, I really think the show is masterful, and I think it's incredible. I think it's powerful, it's compelling, it's captivating, and it really blew me away. It really did. And I know I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. It's my favourite TV show this year, and I think it's absolutely amazing. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Andor, I'm going to say that it's a 9.5 out of 10. Honestly, this show is near perfect for me. It really is in terms of writing. There's a couple of plot holes and a couple of nitpicks along the way that I could go into detail on, but that's been me looking for criticisms, which I don't like to do with a lot of the things I watch. A lot of times when I talk about criticisms in my reviews, they're valid criticisms which I was watching the movie thinking, that's actually changing something which I don't really like about which I don't like about the film or the movie or whatever. I do feel that sometimes, like I said before, people are looking for criticisms with Star Wars, and I don't always like that. And I feel like what people have been doing with Andor, because I just love Andor so much, and I think it's the best written Star Wars TV show. It may not be the most fun Star Wars TV show to watch, but it's the best written one in my opinion. And I don't even know how much this review is making sense, because my head's so all over the place. I'm writing 3 essays right now. I've got so much uni work to do. I'm going out a bit later because I don't really have much time to go out at the moment. Honestly, I'm all over the place, and I haven't really had much time to plan my review of this today, but I just wanted to make another video on Andor to spread the love, to get people to watch the show, because not enough people are watching it from what I've heard, and I think it's phenomenal. It's my favourite TV show of 2022. And sure, yes, I'm biased on Star Wars. I've got a Star Wars t-shirt on. I've got Star Wars posters back there, framed Star Wars posters. I've got a Boba Fett helmet over there, which obviously you guys can't see. But at the same time, though, I've got a Lego 880 over there, which you guys can't see again. I've got a Lego BB-8 there. I've got Star Wars Funko Pops. And I've also got some Star Wars Funko Pops back there. And I've got Lego Star Wars portraits. Clearly, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. But my love of the show isn't just because I'm biased. It's because it's so well written. Each episode I look forward to watching, and each episode blew me away. I'd be sitting down to watch an episode of Andor and think, is it going to work this week? Is it actually going to be good? And then it's better than good, though. It's beyond brilliant, and yeah, I loved episode 6 so much. Episode 6 might be my favourite hour of TV for the entire year. And I loved episode 10 as well, the prison breakout. Slight spoilers there, but you know. Should have watched the show by now. And also, I loved the last episode as well. I also loved episode 11, which some people have complained about. But for me, it was a slow burn episode that was kind of cathartic as well. And it was so nuanced and it made me emotional as well. The show is moving, and I don't really know what else to say. Honestly, I love this series so much. The musical score is brilliant, the performance is brilliant, the characters are brilliant in my opinion. I can't wait for series 2 as well. And unfortunately I have to wait till 2024 for series 2. But I also love the settings. I also love how it expands the Star Wars universe. I love how serious it is as well. I love how it's grounded in versatility. I love the realism of this show. It feels realistic. Even so, we're going to planets like Coruscant, which is where the Senate is from the prequels. Even so, we're going to planets like Coruscant, which are inherently unrealistic. They feel realistic though. You feel like you could literally just walk into that scene because of how well the show is immersive and just how brilliantly written it is. Honestly, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love Andor so much. And it's a different kind of Star Wars. And that's why I love it. God, it's amazing. It really is. And if you haven't watched the show yet, do go and check it out because it is brilliant and I just can't recommend it enough. Andor is my favourite TV show of 2022 and I absolutely loved it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Andor, I'm going to say that it's a 9.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Andor? Please you comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, I don't know how many reviews like this I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks because my essay deadlines are getting closer by the minute, quite literally. So I'm quite busy right now. In fact, I'm very busy. And I'm not going to be able to do as many Christmas film reviews as I had planned. But I'm still going to have some coming towards the later weeks in December. But still, nevertheless, guys, thank you as always for watching. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. And look forward to many more both film and TV reviews coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.